over 30 real estate sales and marketing agents who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my co-host Melissa Wallace and I will provide you with my team's unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We value the experience of our agents at Boston Connect Real Estate so much that not only will you hear my perspective on real estate topics, occasionally you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of our experienced agents at Boston Connect Real Estate. Be a part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you like to listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with me at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate.
And hello to all our South Shore neighbors. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. My name is Melissa Wallace, and I'm here with my lovely co-host today, Sharon McNamara.
Good morning. How are you? Happy New Year.
You get a round of applause.
I get a round of applause. Yeah, she's back.
She's
Yay.
back. She's back.
She's here.
How we missed you so. I've missed everybody. So, yeah, Happy New Year to everybody. Hope everybody had a great one. I had given hints at our last show that I was going to be taking a little bit of a hiatus. So Mark and I did our trip this year. We did it last year. We really loved it. So we did it again this year. Probably won't do it again next year, though. But anyways, yeah, it was great. We went away for a little while, got a little rest and relaxation. We ended our year reflecting on 2024 and how wonderful it was. And a big part of that was because you're in my life. And you know I mean that.
You.
I truly mean that.
I do.
What was I going to say? Yeah. And then, just to sort of think about what this year was going to bring.
Mm-hmm.
And, I always come up with a word every year.
Yep.
Last year it was thrive, and Mark helps me build something in the sand. Let's be honest, Mark builds it.
Mark
and
builds it.
I do a little bit of patting down. And last year was thrive, and I thought it was good. And then this year is flourish. Yeah. So just about flourishing.
You're ready. You're like a flower.
Yeah.
In your garden.
Yeah, and I had my friend ChatGPT help me think about it. I put in, which is really great. So I love having that word, and I use it as my background on different things. And I have a motivation app that comes out every couple every few a couple times a day it comes out anyways, and I use that as my background. So I really like that, and it just sort of keeps you focused, and makes you realize what's important. And as we can see, things can happen in a blink of an eye, and you just look at all those people who have lost their homes in California, and lives have been lost, and it's just awful what's happening out there. I have a friend that I grew up with in Dorchester, and she lives in Los Angeles, and I reached out to her a couple nights ago just to, hey, are you safe? Do you need anything? And one of my concerns for everybody there that I haven't really seen them highlight a lot of is the air quality. So we know that, how important that is when it comes to real estate, but all those gases and, plastics that are melting, and it's just awful. I know that there are a lot of different relief funds out there. So hopefully, we can take care of them.
I know they're getting rid of TikTok, but that's where I've been seeing all of my, news really. And there's just so many GoFundMes and, the humane societies and everything, and just raising so much money, and just trying to, so many displaced animals too.
I saw that, yeah.
And just seeing videos of, I watched a video so eerie watched a video of this guy literally run into a burning field because he was saving a bunny, like not even his bunny, just a wild bunny, and like just saw it's just awful, absolutely awful.
And there's all kinds of political. I mean, sometimes I wonder, should we have a show that just really? Maybe we couldn't do a show like live on WATD, but maybe we could do a podcast that just like talks about the things that like you're thinking, you know. So, you know, I think a lot of decisions that were made. Again, I don't know much about, you know, government in general or politics. I try to stay out of it. I'm very, very neutral. I go with, it doesn't matter to me what color you're wearing, if you're a donkey or if you're an elephant. It just doesn't matter to me, right? I am independent for that reason. Like I don't, you know, I don't just want one party to be the decider. Like I think perspective is just a huge thing that we need in this world. But, you know, some of the things that you're hearing about, you know, about the politics there with their governor and their mayor and things like that. Again, like, I don't know much about any of them, but I have to tell you, if I was the mayor of anything and I knew that the Santa Ana winds or whatever were coming through and there was a chance that my town or city or anything would be in jeopardy, I certainly wouldn't go to another country to see their president get sworn in or whatever the hell was happening there. I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't. I probably wouldn't have gone to Massachusetts to come to a ceremony here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, where were your thoughts? Did you just think it wasn't going to happen? Possibly, probably. I mean, because you wouldn't do it if you did. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that. Yeah. That will be our podcast. But, Tim, Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you, too.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So hope you are off to a good start already.
Yeah, so far, so good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
It's a snow day today.
Yeah.
Snowing.
No snow day for radio, though.
No. Is it supposed to stay? Like, what's it supposed to do?
It's really not supposed to be that bad. At most, we might get an inch. Most of the snow is supposed to be this morning, this afternoon. It tapers off. There might be some leftover energy from it, but don't fret and frown about it too much, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Tim, you were a big part of what gave me joy at the end of 2024 last year with the jingle, with your jingle.
Oh my gosh, your song.
Yeah, you just have to pull it up at the end of the song.
I got it right here. Here it is.
Okay, let's hear it.
Dashing to the shower, not slipping on the floor, shampooing my hair. Please close the door. How much time is left? Honey, start the car. I have to go and be a radio star. Talk real estate every Saturday. Tune in to listen, and hey, you don't have to pay. Talk real estate every Saturday. Tune in to listen, and you don't have to pay.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, there you go.
What did Joel think of it? Did everybody love it?
I haven't played it for him yet. Maybe I'll do that today, and I'll report next Saturday.
All right,
oh my
that's
gosh.
awesome. But keep that handy for next year because I want to play that throughout. That's what my commercial. My commercial is going to be that next year.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it's in the system.
All right, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, maybe this year will be better. We're not coming in on two wheels on our own.
I know.
On our own office here.
Exactly. So today's show, it's a little. It's not controversial. It is something that is in the news. I believe that WATD did probably do some type of news on it while I was away at the end of the year. And I am going to, today, did you title the show? What are we calling this?
I
Real
didn't
Estate
really.
Essentials, Demystifying Escrow Accounts, right?
Yeah.
Just sort of, talking about escrow. So it's a really serious thing. We're going to get into what is escrow and all of that. So I just really do want to start with a disclaimer that like any of the information that I am going to talk about has been publicly available by sources online. They're all allegations. If anything comes up about the company, why this has been brought to the forefront of a local firm that closed its doors suddenly right before Christmas. And again, there's a lot of allegations out there. There are lawsuits that are out there that I can see. I have all of that information. Of course, there are things that I have heard, but I'm not going to discuss those. Everything that there's rumors, maybe there's, it probably was or could be. I really don't want to go down that path. The person who owns this company is, somebody that I've been very close to over the years. And it is actually the company that I last worked for where I hung my license before I came to
Open Boston Connect.
To Open Boston Connect. You can see I'm sort of flustered by it all because I really still can't believe all of this is happening. And it's very unfortunate, but a lot of people are starting to ask questions to myself, to you, as a manager of a company, to our agents, to the attorneys. They're really concerned about escrow and who is holding escrow and is my money safe. And I'm on this show because that I'm very transparent on our show anyways. That I want to give you the facts about everything. I do try to have perspective on this one. My perspective is pretty tight. I have my perspective, and my perspective aligns with the state of Massachusetts regulations, laws, and that's it. Period. Amen.
Yeah.
There's no in between for me on this one.
No. I think that the biggest question, and we'll get into it all, but the biggest question that I get asked about it is, how could this have happened? How could it have been so easy to happen? I'm like, he's trying to see, again, perspective of it. And do I know in my soul that it would never happen here? But do I understand how it could happen? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which, and I just got chills. It's so weird because, I understand how it could happen, but I don't understand why. And that's the difference. You could do many bad things in the world. It's possible that bad things happen every day, but I know that we don't wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I think I'm going to do this one bad thing.
Yeah.
It's possible. It could be an accident, but when you make an accident a million times over.
Yeah. You can't make an accident over.
Yeah.
And what I love about our system is, with escrow, yes, we're the listing agent, and I will get into the details right at the beginning, like what this whole process is. If you have questions for us, though, please feel free. If you have questions, comments, concerns, anything that we can help you with, 781-837-4900, 781-837-4900. One thing that I do want to make very clear is that anything that the broker of that company did should not, please listen to me, everybody, it should not ever be a reflection of those agents that work in that office. So please don't do that to them. They have their office, which has now sort of dismantled, and they're starting little firms and going to different places and things like that, finding a home. I got several calls from several people, asking for advice. People were coming to me saying, oh, you're going to try to recruit some of the agents from Success. And I said, no, I am not. Because first of all, I don't do that. I don't reach out to agents. Agents know if they want to come to me that they can come to me, but I'm not a broker who is just trying to entice somebody to come to me and take them away from another company, right?
Yeah.
But I did reach out to a couple because I did recently have a transaction with one. I did call him the day after, or the day that the email came out that, the doors were shutting at Success Real Estate. And I called him. Great guy. I feel so bad for him because when you're in new construction, it's 6 months, to from start to finish. It's a long time that you're working and you're waiting. It isn't like you get it under agreement and you walk away from your client for 6 months. You're working with your client for 6 months.
Yeah.
And at the end of this transaction, it became very difficult. And he's such a great agent. He is a wonderful, wonderful person. And I reached out to him, and what I said to him is, listen, I am heartbroken by what all of you are going through. Heartbroken. If you want to hang your license with me so you can figure your life out, you can do that. Because for a while there, I was really nervous, and as a broker, it was really difficult for me to send out messages to my agents. but I had to, because my responsibility is my agents and my agents' clients.
Yeah.
And I said that, if first we had to find out, did any of our agents have a transaction where escrow was being held by that company? We had one. Okay. So there was one. That's not great news. It's not bad news. Okay. Is it going to get worked out? The details of that one are a little different than most people. It's not a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
It's not somebody's like life savings, right? Thankfully, a whole ton of money wasn't being held. However, when I reached out to like all these agents were sort of out there, and when I reached out to our agents, I said, unfortunately, if you can't show any listings that are held by that company right now, because there is no company.
Yeah.
He sent out an email that says, I have closed. So there is no company anymore. So I didn't want our agents to get stuck in a situation where their clients were putting in offers on something where it wasn't settled yet. It happened on a weekend. Like, we had to let this shuffle out.
Yeah.
And I also said that we couldn't allow any of those agents to put offers in on any of our listings because they weren't really licensed and insured from what I could see. I didn't know, if you closed your company, that means that there's no E&O protecting anybody, right?
Yeah.
So those were really tough decisions for me. And this is really tough because, honestly, I would consider the person who, more than an acquaintance, a friend, perhaps, when we weren't hanging out, like having dinners with each other, you know what I mean, with, each other's spouses or any of that stuff. We leaned into each other an awful lot lately. And that's the part that's so surprising. So it was hard. But you know what? When it comes to my business, I don't play around.
Yeah.
My job is to protect the escrow that lies in my account, the escrow, and protect my agents and their clients. Period. Amen. I don't care what you would have to come after me full force with a plow truck in order to get in my way to protect my agents.
Well, that was something that was told to you, that, in a roundabout way, you weren't asked to participate in certain things because you were so straight and with your arrow that you see right through it. And I think that you weren't, where I'm going with that. But
I wasn't asked certain favors by this person because the answer is no. And not because it's cold outside, just because that's the right thing to do, right?
But that's a reputation that you have, is like, you don't mess around with this account. And we'll go into the importance and what it does and the role it sort of plays in real estate. But if you're not familiar with what's going on.
Yeah, and you can, it's all in the news. And like I said, with my first disclaimer, the information is based on what is publicly available. I am not going to get into, I heard this, I saw this, I did that, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't do anything, but like the conversations I've had with this person, the day that it happened, the day before that it all came out, I am not going to discuss any of those things. But I will just, sort of, the point of this is, I just want people who are in the process of buying and selling a home to understand, one, what is this process of us holding escrow? What are your options if you're not comfortable? Because at the end of the day, this is about you being comfortable with where your money is sitting. And one of the things that I don't think that a lot of people were really thinking about, and from a broker perspective, believe me, my head was rolling. And by the way, I want to go back when I did send messages to my agents in email, 3 of them within a couple days. And I said, we can't allow them to show properties until their license is hung with somebody else. This was not a reflection on any of those agents. They are wonderful agents in that company. Wonderful. It's been breaking my heart to think about what has happened to some of those agents. Yeah. Like, any friendship is put aside at this point because all I can think of is Mr. T. Like, I pity the fool. But here's how I feel. Oh, you're probably too young for Mr. T, right?
No, I know who Mr. T is.
Do you remember that? I pity the fool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not that young.
So any pity or whatever that I felt for him as the owner minimized quickly when I thought about all of those wonderful, wonderful agents that worked in that company. Yeah. So I want to make that very clear. no reflection should fall upon them. Okay, so I wish that this was a webinar so I could ask everybody to give me a thumbs up and promise me thumbs up. Yeah, that they would promise me that they understand that. Okay.
Yeah. We have Cindy on Facebook saying, "Good morning. Thank you for this great information."
Oh, you're welcome, Cindy. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate that. And you know what, Cindy? So Cindy is from Utah. Cindy, I'm gonna give the number to everybody, but Cindy, I would love it when I get to a certain point in the show. I can't get Clubhouse to connect, and if you're still there, one of the things that I would love is I would love to see how escrow is held in other states. Because I don't think that she's in Salt Lake City. She's wonderful. I have a lot of great friends on Clubhouse, but she is really, me and Mark's one of our favorites. Like we'll over the summer,
really?
yeah, we'll FaceTime her in the summer. Yeah, she's just a wonderful, wonderful person with the biggest heart of people that I know. But Cindy, 781-837-4900. That's for any of our listeners today. If you have any questions about this, comments about this, you're just not even sure about the process, please give us a call. If you are not comfortable with that, I'm going to give the number again, 781-837-4900. And maybe, can we type that somewhere?
Yeah.
So it
It
comes
is
up?
it is on the
Okay, perfect.
thing.
So if you have any questions or anything, but Cindy, when I get to a certain point, if you want to call into the studio and Tim will pipe you through, I'd love to see how escrow is held there. So so with all of that sort of stuff behind us, again, I did hear that WATD did sort of talk. They probably had something in the news about the situation. So Success Real Estate did close their doors. This is not for me to disparage him or anything like that. I'm just giving the solid facts about it. But more importantly is what I want to explain to everybody is what is escrow? Why is it held? Whose money is it? That's like the biggest question I have for other brokers and other people that when it comes to holding escrow, I'm backing up. So what is escrow? You tell everybody.
So, when we're holding escrow, we're holding somebody's earnest money deposit. So that's money that a buyer is, offering at their offer. So it could be $1,000, it could be $5,000, whatever you put into your offer. And then it's also your second deposit, which is you have at purchase and sales. So that's usually even greater than that. So sometimes we're holding 5% of your purchase price. Sometimes we're holding even more than that, 10%. There, was an instance where something was being held that was over $100,000. It all really just depends on, what it is that you put in your offer and what you can afford to put down. Some people live under the assumption that the higher, or the higher price that you put down for their purchase and sales and that we're holding, that the greater that looks and puts you in a better position. It's all sort of relative. It just really depends on everything else that's in your offer. A lot of people don't have liquid cash and might have something to sell, so they might have a smaller deposit. But yeah, the escrow is an account. It's a non-interest bearing account that we have with our bank. And we deposit your earnest money deposit.
Earnest money, yeah. So that earnest money is it's part of the transaction, and when that earnest money goes into escrow, it belongs to the buyer. It is the buyer's money, okay, at that point. So that money is held in escrow. As Melissa said, it's a non-interest bearing account because I couldn't go through giving people the 13 cents and all of the paperwork that goes along with that. So that money is held. It is very similar to an attorney's IALTA account. It has the same stipulations and, importance held behind it, okay? So that money is held in our account. It is not Boston Connect's money. It is not, and it's usually the listing agent. That's who that firm is usually holding it for the buyer. At the end of the day, that money is part of the transaction. So it is part of the sale process. Does it ultimately end up becoming the seller's money? It matters. It matters. It could be an overage. It could be there are lots. Well, that's a different thing. There's lots of things, but it isn't up to us to decide what happens to that money. And in fact, it's so serious that if somebody decides not to go forward, it's per the stipulations of whatever that offer is. The buyer is saying, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am I am putting this earnest money up. It will be part of the transaction at the end. I'm asking your company to hold it until the very end. Now, a lot of times that money was held and it was used, the listing company used that money for commission. It's in our contract, just so everybody knows. It's in the contract that says the seller gives permission for the listing agent to take the money that is being held in escrow that is now theirs because it's closed, right? And it's recorded at the Registry of Deeds, that they can use those funds for commission, okay? That's the only reason why that can happen. In all reality, it should come out of escrow and go back.
Right.
So we have some callers too. Okay, so let's take the callers and see if there are any questions.
Well,
that we
right
can
now
answer.
we only have one caller, but I think he might be our #1 fan. We've got our buddy Jay down in Plymouth.
Hey, Jay.
Jay.
Hi, Jay.
Well, good morning.
Good
Happy
morning.
New Year.
Happy New Year, my friend.
I turned on WATD. It was great to hear your voices, but it's also sad to hear what's going on. What can we do? This is what I think goes back to my last phone call. Be involved. Read everything you need to sign. If you don't agree with something, question it.
Yeah.
We need to. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't stop someone from stealing. If there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
And that's why we need, as consumers, as professionals, we need to get involved and bring to light legislation, whatever we have to do. Like you mentioned earlier about you were emailing or something to what other states do with this money. Well, when it all comes down to it, we all live in the same world.
Yeah.
Why don't we all follow the same rules, the rules that work for everyone?
I agree. I
Well,
agree.
we shouldn't have these loopholes where things happen. And these are people, nowadays, I don't care what you look at, what you drive, what you live in. We all can't afford losses. We can't.
No.
And that's, at the end of the day, we need to pay attention.
Yes.
And like you were saying, true, you can't, you go to a restaurant, you might have a crappy dinner. You can't blame the waitress, the hostess. It's the cook's fault. So you don't take it out on the good working people who are working at this business. If it is what it is, if it's one person, well, that person has to answer everything. You don't take it out on the other good working people who've been greatly affected.
Oh.
All they have to do is go get another job. They probably have families to support too.
Oh, some of the things that I have heard firsthand, and maybe I will give some of those samples, that they have literally brought tears to my eyes. But I just, for listeners who aren't familiar or haven't been paying attention, it's been on the news, so you can go there. Again, I don't want to give, I want to give rumors. So these are the reports suggest that the core issue involved alleged mismanagement or misuse of client escrow funds. Is it true? I don't know. See, that's the thing. I don't know. That's what the allegations are. Okay. And I guess that's where we have to have some confidence in the judicial system that they'll get to the bottom of it. All I know for sure is that an email went out and it said that the company has closed its doors. On the news, we've seen different people who have said, that they deposited a check and it bounced. I personally did a transaction with an agent who works there, and I reached out to him and he told me his check, after working 6 months, he put his check into the bank and it bounced. So these are the things. Now there's a difference between escrow and operating, right? So as much as I find whatever is going on with escrow, I don't know if it's true, false, indifferent. I have no idea. I'm not in his books. I do not know. Okay. But the allegations are saying that there may be some mismanagement of that. But all I know is, Mel, one of our agents has a transaction with a buyer, or as a buyer's agent, that money, and correct me if I'm wrong throughout this process, right? But I'm pretty sure, right? That money, okay, let's just say one of our agents, I'm going to say Tracy Grady, had a transaction with ABC Realty.
Okay.
ABC Realty and that seller, however, that commission comes to Boston Connect, right? $10,000. Let's just say it's $10,000, okay? That money doesn't go in escrow.
No, it goes into our operating account.
That money goes into operating because at that point, to be quite honest, yes, it is our money for Boston Connect, right?
Yeah.
Because the contracts are really under us. But then we have
And
a
your bills to
split.
pay.
Exactly, right? But we have a split with that agent. So with Tracy.
Well, it's because as an independent contractor in the state of Massachusetts, you have to hang your license somewhere if you're not a broker, correct?
Yes.
So you have to hang your license somewhere. Therefore, the check for your compensation needs to be written for the company that you hang your license for. It can't be
Yes.
written to you directly. So that's why we have to put it into our operating account. And like everywhere else, as independent contractors, you have a contract with whoever, so you have a split.
Yeah. So we give.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys considered employees or subcontractors?
Well, I'm the owner of the company, so
She's the boss.
I get to wear a crown. No, I get the headaches.
Special.
No. So here's the thing. In the state of Massachusetts, there's a couple different things. So I am a broker. Yes, I am the broker owner of Boston Connect Real Estate. As a broker, that means I had to have, and the rules may have changed by now, but I had to be an active full-time real estate agent for salesperson for, I think,
minimum of 3 years.
I think it was a minimum of 3 years. Then I had to do more classes, and then I had to take another test, and then I became a broker. So as a broker, and I own my own company, that's why I can hold escrow. Only brokers can have an escrow account. In fact, this is a fun fact that a lot of people may not know. As the broker of the company, now the state of Massachusetts came into our office in October because they'll do checks every so often, they'll check our board and our license, right? They also ask for a copy of my E&O insurance. They ask for a copy of
A letter from the bank.
a letter from the bank. And what they want from the bank is who is an authorized signer on this escrow account, okay? So for me, it cannot be anybody other than a broker. Now, Melissa's my manager. Melissa is not a signer on my escrow account. Melissa can't be in the escrow account transferring and doing all these other things, right? As the broker of the company, it's me. It's my responsibility, okay?
Well, that makes it, I would say, more safe, in my view, because it's one person, not several.
Exactly, right? But, however, where are the checks and balances on that? If what we're hearing is true, where are the checks and balances on that? Because if I'm just one person, nobody knows what I'm doing. Like, I can't be transferring funds. Like, it's called commingling funds. I can't take money from my escrow account and say, hey, I'm just going to borrow $100,000 to pay some of these bills that we got at the end of the year. I can't borrow money from escrow to pay payroll and then pay it back. No way. The only thing that you see on that escrow account is deposits in, and if from that point, if it's a commission, right? If the seller says, okay, Boston Connect, you can keep that money. I give you permission. It's in a contract. We then take that $10,000, right? If we're the listing agent and we're getting paid, that $10,000 goes from escrow into operating. There is a clear line of where that money is and where it went and what it went there for. The only check that is ever written out of escrow is an overage. So if there's too much, or a release. So if somebody doesn't go forward and we're holding $1,000, Jay, you say, I'm not going forward.
Yeah.
Okay. That money is not going to then go from my escrow into my operating. It goes from my escrow back to you.
And there's regulations with that too. I mean, there are documents that need to be signed by both parties stating that they are releasing the buyer from the contract and they're able to get their money back, because there's been instances where it hasn't been so clear that the buyer might be walking away and the seller says, nope, you're out of contract. I want to keep your money. And that's when we have to sort of reevaluate, okay, the attorneys get involved and sort of settle it that way. And sometimes it's half and half, and sometimes it's, they get nothing back. But again, it's all depending on, if you're in contract or not.
Well, yeah, because that could be a little bit unfortunate because okay, let's just say that Sharon's going to buy my house from me. Okay, well, here's the price, and you're going to put down your down payment, and that would go into escrow, correct? Or would it be into a holding account?
Yep, that goes into your escrow account.
Okay. And so basically, I'm giving you 60 days to put your stuff together and buy my house. And then you come to me on the 6 weeks later, go, no, I've decided I'm going to buy your house. Well, I just lost selling my house for 6 weeks. So I think I should keep that money. Now, I might switch back to why I asked if you guys were, who was employees or not. Because you mentioned earlier about someone who deposited a check for a commission check, I think you said, for 6 months.
Yeah.
And they don't have it.
Yeah.
So that's a loss to them right now, if it's true.
$12,000.
So my question is, so can you guys collect unemployment?
No.
You can't. So see, do you know how much harder that makes someone's life?
Yeah.
I mean, $12,000 to me is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money to me. It's a lot of money to every agent. It's yeah. So I'm going to back up, Jay, because you asked really good questions too. So let me finish up with the broker aspect of things. So on that thing, okay. So I can't even have Mark McNamara as a signer on my account. Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason why is Mark McNamara is not a broker. He is a salesperson for the state of Massachusetts. He is not a broker. So then there was a time when one of my agents, it's Trish Flynn, wonderful agent. She was my office manager. She is a broker for the state of Massachusetts. I have her on my escrow account as a signer.
And she's a broker associate here. So Sharon is what we call broker on record. Everything falls on her. Yep. She's responsible for the company. But to be safe, adding Trish, who is an associate broker here at the company, to the escrow account is important. And I'll say it's important because what happens if Sharon unfortunately passes away? And there's no one else on that account. You know how hard it would be for everybody to get their money out of that account?
It would be frozen.
It would be frozen.
Everybody's escrow would be frozen. And this is something that I think that the state should do a better job of letting companies know, real estate offices know when they open their own firm, that they need to be thinking of these things. And that was a long time ago for me where I was like, you know what, if anything ever happened to me, or let's even just say, I was away. Okay. So I was in Aruba a couple weeks ago. If I was away, to the point where Melissa can't even go to the bank and say, put a stop payment on this.
Yeah.
She is not allowed to do that. So if I'm away, it would hold up things if I can't be in person to do certain things for the bank. So that's why I asked Trish, who I trust immensely. She babysat my children. Of course, I trust her immensely. She could then go to the bank for Melissa and she could sign that paperwork, right? That's what's important, because this is what I don't think that people understand is if something happens to that broker owner, there's nobody on that account to do anything.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things I thought about when I was hearing the allegations of this company closing. I thought, oh gosh, I wonder if he has another signer on there, because point blank, if he ends up in federal prison, who is going to, like, the guards aren't going to say, oh, here's your escrow, you have to sign some of these checks or whatever.
Well, the other thing is I think, Jay, that you said this, the checks and balances, like, or, who, if it's just one person on this account, you can get away with a lot of things when you're the only person looking at something.
Yeah.
So, the mishandling of funds can go by pretty easily. And that's what I meant in the beginning of the show, where I said, never in a million years could I ever see that happening here. But can I understand it happening ever to somebody? Absolutely. And that's how easy it could.
Possible.
Yeah, that's how it could happen, is when nobody is watching you. And nobody's making sure that you're doing everything right.
under these circumstances, if anything's true, or even in the future, if something comes about, I also wonder about, because you see big companies do this.
Yeah, it happens, right?
And how many people walk away? Oh, it's only $500. Oh, it's only $1,000. And is it worth it? Because, the fear and anxiety of dealing with something like that for the average Joe, they're going to walk away. And I think sometimes people, or corporations, they thrive on that. And it's pretty sad at the end of the day. People work their butts off for this money. Why play with it? Why take advantage of that?
And that's what I want to talk about in this situation is the trickle effect, and is because when this happened, there, like right now, we have several listings that are under agreement. We're holding that escrow. If we just shut our doors, what's going to happen now? Like, what happens to the transaction? One of my agents has a transaction with this company. What happens? I did a CE class this week with my husband Mark. We were in an all-day class for continuing education because we both expired this year, and this topic of conversation came up, and one of the things was, where was I going with that? Oh, like he has two with his company, two of them, but he went and he had a closing, and the attorney was like, we're not closing on this until all funds are accounted for. The only option that a buyer has at that point, so let's just say, Jay, you're buying one of our listings, okay? You put $20,000 in escrow, okay? Now, I don't think a lot of people just have $20,000 hanging around, especially like our first-time home buyers, right?
Yeah.
This is their life savings, right? So it's a lot, right? It's a lot of money.
No room for mistakes.
Exactly. So now your money is being held. Okay, you think you're buying this house. Well, that $20,000 is going towards the purchase of that house. So let's just say the house is $500,000 that you're purchasing, right? So now 20 is being held. $480,000 has to come from somewhere, whether you're getting a loan or whatever that might be, right? Yep. So now that $20,000 is missing, the seller isn't going to say, okay, I'm going to give you this house for $480 instead of $500. Like, why should the seller be out $20,000? Right?
And I don't think the financial institution that's lending the money to the buyer is going to say, oh, well, we're not worried about that $20,000. So
exactly.
That $20,000 is part of the equation.
Yeah.
So you basically
So you, Jay, as you're the person buying this house, you can, there's a lot of lawsuits out there. So I've seen several of them from the agents that work there, and there's a lot of civil suits, and there's a lot of things going on with this, right? But hey, you can't get blood from a stone. That's my thought on that, but whatever. But still, it's out there. But now, Jay, you might say, hey, mom, dad, whoever, like, hey, can I borrow $20,000 so I can still get this house, right? Well, guess what? That isn't that easy either, because the bank is going to say, where did this money come from? Oh, it's a gift. Yeah. Oh, let's see where that money is actually, like, there's a trace to that, right? So, but now you're borrowing $20,000 from your parents to purchase this house until this lawsuit is taken care of. So that's where the trickle effect happens. Okay, now stop right there for a second, Jay, and follow along with me. And I love that you called, okay? Because you can keep up with my speediness here. You're buying that house. Guess what? The house you're buying, guess what they're doing? They're buying a house.
The domino effect.
Right? So now they can't close on their house, and maybe that other house that they're purchasing has nothing to do with this company. But guess what? They need $500,000 from the sale of that house in order to buy the $700,000 house that they're buying down in Fort Myers. They can't. Do you see this trickle effect? It is huge.
Oh, yeah.
And this is what I don't understand. Like, how? I'm not even going to try to understand. I am not even going to try to understand. But that's where the importance of this money being held lies. And that's why the state of Massachusetts puts a higher threshold on brokers and a responsibility on us to hold that money. I just went down like that little rabbit hole, but thank you, Jay. So.
Oh no! I mean, it gets people to understand what's really going on, regardless if all this is true or not. It's most likely can happen or has happened.
Yep.
So basically, there should be some kind of oversight.
Mm-hmm.
Is this is what I'm hearing from you guys, is that there should be some kind of oversight and also a funding that, that money can, if something like this happens, they're protected. And I'm assuming that there must be some kind of liability insurance too.
Mm-hmm.
But
not
again,
for fraud.
It doesn't happen. Right.
P.S.
But
Errors and omission does not cover fraud.
Right. There's it's the waiting game. And basically, at the end of the day, it's the consumers, the buyers, and the sellers.
Yes. And that's what's most important. And the agents. This is what I'm upset about. Because, okay, let's go back to the scenario I just gave you, Jay. You're buying a house that's listed, and guess what? Those people are buying a house. There are now 4 sets of real estate agents that are potentially involved in that transaction, minimally 3, possibly 2, okay? That they have been working, and they are not getting paid. That's an issue. But anyways.
And they have bills to pay, too.
Yeah, they do. This is, for the most part, like, people don't dabble in real estate because it isn't worth it. It's a lot of work, right? Like, you shouldn't be dabbling in it. You should be hiring full-time agents. And that's what I mean. When I started the show, I said, do not hold this against any of those agents. They're great agents. They are responsible. They understand the consequences. If anybody got hurt, it was them that got hurt the most because of their clients and their clients.
Exactly.
So one of the things is that I do want to talk about, and Jay, if you want to stay on, you can, but I do want to hit a couple of points with people. And Tim, did Cindy happen to call in?
No, Jay has been our only caller.
Okay. Because I would like to know, like, how other states do it, because I know, like, title companies hold it. So you could, as a buyer, you could put, so Jay, I'm going to use Jay, I'm going to continue to use Jay. If Jay purchased that house, okay, but Jay's buying this $500,000 house, it's his $20,000. The listing company is holding that money in escrow. Do I believe, for the most part, that your money will always be safe when it is held in a broker account? I do. However, I 100% understand how the general public and consumers may fail right now and see how easy something like this could potentially happen. And I'm sorry that you have doubt in my industry. I am sorry for that. I take it seriously. However, if you have doubts, I don't blame you. Your options. You could have the seller's attorney hold the money in escrow. Heck, I'm okay with the buyer's attorney holding the money in escrow at this point because there are rules and regulations like Melissa hit upon. If something falls apart, both parties have to agree that that money is going to be released and who it's going to be released to, okay? So you do, as a buyer. Hey, and I also want to end this conversation with letting everybody know, when I was 24 years old, April 3rd, 1992, I got engaged to Mark McNamara. We were going to purchase a house. We found it right away. We were going to build it. It was in Pembroke. We had, by we, I mean Mark, $13,000 to our name. 1990, that's a lot of money now. It was a lot of money then, okay? We gave it to a builder. A builder was going to build us a house. Mark and I decided to get married right away because when the house was going to be done, our choice was we didn't want to live with each other beforehand. We were both living with our parents. Let's just get married. Short of a shotgun wedding, not because I was pregnant, but because of this, right? So now we're getting married in August. Engaged in April, married in August. We were paying for our own wedding. Guess what? The builder left with our $13,000. We had nothing.
Unbelievable.
So is that why I feel this way? We brought him to court. And you know where I got the line, you can't get blood from a stone? The judge that said it to me and Mark. So we never got our money back. So is that maybe why I'm a little hyper-focused on this and why I'm a mama bear when it comes to protecting my agents and my clients and every client? I don't care if you're my client or somebody else's client. If I'm holding your money, I'm protecting it.
Yeah.
So with that, what happened with that is we ended up living with my in-laws. They were wonderful. They were wonderful. But, coming home from your honeymoon, we're up in the attic space with no doors, no walls, right? And we saved. We rolled pennies. I remember my boss, I worked at Reebok at the time, he gave me a little Coach wristlet. I sold it. Never told him, but I sold it because we were trying to roll pennies, sell rims to cars, everything, right? So we could come up with $5,000 to buy the house that we still currently live in. And we moved in November 25th, 1992. So that's my story. So when you think, oh, yeah, Sharon, you're lucky, it wasn't always that way, right?
No, and a lot of people wouldn't know that story unless you told us.
Yeah. And it's why maybe I am a little straight-edged. Is it straight-edged, sharp-edged?
Yeah,
What is it?
It seems that I would expect a situation like this would trigger what you're feeling right now, because you've personally experienced something much same similarity.
Yeah.
You know, and it's pretty sad because at the end of the day, there have to be protections for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, you know, that's just the way it needs to be, and we need to start working on it, folks. We need to start getting involved and demanding changes.
Well, I think that this is definitely going to shake things up, and, you know, we could potentially be seeing some changes in regulations in how escrow accounts are held. I actually did have a conversation with somebody because, of course, everybody in life is asking me, they know what I do and, you know, what's going on with this, and somebody that I know owns a funeral home, and this happened in the funeral business a while ago. You know, there was mishandled funds. So when people go and prepay for their funeral, it's supposed to be held a certain way. And at one point, there was somebody who mishandled it, and that was the end of that. Now they have to go through hoops and definitely different regulations now. And it used to be a lot easier for them, and now it's a little bit more difficult. But you know, it has to be that way.
Yep. And, you know, we came to the end of the show already, if you can believe that. But if anybody does want to, you know, talk off air about it, feel free to give me a call, 781-294-4848. Jay, thank you so much for calling. You always bring, you know, I love that you call because you bring the questions up that other people, you know, people are thinking, not from an agent perspective. So I love that you do that every week for us. No, I love
Thanks
it.
for being our co-host today.
Thanks for being our co-host. Yeah, we appreciate you, Jay.
We're all the same out here.
Okay. So next week, I don't know if we continue this topic because I just want to let you know, if you're thinking about buying or selling a house, there are definitely options for you. If you're worried about somebody holding your money and where that money goes, I promise you there are ways to keep you protected. And if you are doing a transaction with Boston Connect Real Estate, I assure you, your money is protected.
You're in good hands.
You're in good hands. Happy New Year, everybody. Have a great year, and we'll be back next week. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor.